The NBA 2021-22 season has ended, and the new one is far away. If you're not a fan of the offseason, which we can understand, not everyone is a fan of changes. We've got a totally new and exciting video for you. We'll be taking a look at the times when NBA players were just too good, and that means going through some of the greatest single-game performances of all time. Let's get started. First, we have Allen Iverson versus the Lakers. 2001. Now, people don't remember the 2001 finals for Allen Iverson, and that's fair, because Shaq and Kobe were absolutely killing the Sixers. However, it's crucial to note that in Game 1 of the finals, Allen Iverson dropped a performance that will go down in history as one of the greatest ever. He was basically unplayable in that match, and even though the Lakers managed to keep him quiet in the fourth, he came back to drop 7 points in overtime, which included a terrific three-pointer over Tyronn Lue, which was the match winner. He took his total to 48 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, as he scored 30 in the first half alone. Given the Lakers would go on to win the next 4 and lift the championship, Iverson's madness needs to be remembered. Up next, Wilt Chamberlain versus the Celtics, 1965. Wilt Chamberlain should appear on this list more than once, if we're being honest. He's got some serious individual performances, but let's just start with this one against Bill Russell's Boston side in '65, even though the Lakers would lose, which isn't a surprise because the Celtics were just different gravy in the '60s under Russell's leadership. Chamberlain put in a historic but heartbreaking performance. He held Russell to a meager 16 points and even dunked on him to cut the lead to 1, but the Lakers just couldn't provide the final flourish, and the Celtics would go on to win the match and the championship as well. And now Michael Jordan versus the Celtics, 1986. 21 years after Wilt's heartbreak, the greatest player of all time for many, Michael Jordan, would experience something similar against the Celtics. Of course, at the time, he wasn't considered the greatest, but this was perhaps his first step in writing the story of his greatness. His 63 points in the playoffs are still a good record, and he was returning from a broken foot that saw him play less than 20 games throughout the season. Again though, his fantastic performance just wouldn't be enough for the Bulls to win, as they lost to the Celtics in double OT. Next, Tim Duncan versus the Nets, 2003. This was perhaps Tim Duncan's finest performance of his career, and it was some game to watch. It will truly be remembered as one of the greatest performances, simply because he was too dominant throughout the series, and the Spurs were a one-man force. Duncan hit 32 points, 20 rebounds, and 6 assists, but his 7 blocks are usually overlooked. Don't do that, because he was a nightmare for the Nets in the paint. He'd go on to haunt them in the remaining games of the series as the Spurs progressed past a Nets side that had no answers for Dunk's dominance. And now we have Magic Johnson versus the Sixers, 1980. Magic Johnson, to this day, remains the only rookie and 20-year-old to win the Finals MVP, and this performance was the biggest reason he did so. The Lakers were leading the Finals 3-2 against a very decent Sixers side, but the biggest problem? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was injured. That meant a 20-year-old Johnson had to start in the center, but he absolutely killed it. 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals. He was a man possessed. There was nothing the Sixers could do, who were the favorites coming into Game 6 because of the injury to Kareem. But Magic had different ideas. Next on the list, Michael Jordan versus the Jazz, 1997. This doesn't only make the cut because of the statistics, because MJ has put in better performances, but the context matters on this one. Imagine having a flu bug. We don't even move out of bed and think that our day is done. But MJ had a series to win. The Jazz of that bug stood no chance. MJ's discomfort was noticeable, but his performance probably didn't get the memo as he hit the Jazz for 38 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, and 5 steals to kill the Jazz off. He'd come back to add another 39 in Game 6 to win the series. And now, Kobe Bryant versus the Mavs, 2003. Phil Jackson, you should be tried for war crimes. We're kidding, but how do you take off a player that's put together 62 points in 33 minutes? Kobe could have easily beaten the 100-point record because he was a man possessed. Okay, maybe not 100, but he could have gotten so much closer. In fact, when he was pulled in the third, Kobe had 62 points. The Mavs had 61. There were no assists because he wasn't in the mood for that. But outscoring a team has to be one of the rarest achievements in the sport. Next, Michael Jordan versus the Jazz, 1998. Yes, it's the game with that iconic photo where MJ hits perhaps the greatest shot in basketball history to win the finals against the Jazz. His game winner was the finals clinching shot for the Bulls, but what people overlook is his performance that night. MJ had only 1 rebound and 1 assist, but when you look at the 45 points he scored in a low-scoring game that ended 87-86, you realize just how good MJ was. Next up, LeBron James versus the Pistons, 2007. LeBron's performance against the Pistons in 2007 was the first time people truly acknowledged the boy had become a man. In Game 5 of the series, LeBron put together a special performance as he hit a series-high 48 points and went ballistic toward the end of the game. He scored all of the final 25 points for the Cavs, scoring 29 of the last 30, and hit a game winner in double OT with 2.2 left on the clock. LeBron also had 9 rebounds and 7 assists to go with that monster performance. And now, David Robinson versus the Pistons, 1994. Robinson's performance versus the Pistons is one of the most special of all time, especially when you consider that wasn't even a playoff game and came in the regular season because Robinson was unplayable that night. He had a quadruple-double, and that definitely belongs on the list. He helped his side to a dominant 115-96 win over the Pistons, who had no answers to Robinson that night. Then we have Shaquille O'Neal versus the Sixers in 2001. We started with Iverson's Game 1 masterclass against the Lakers, but it would be unfair to finish without mentioning one of the most dominant performances in the NBA Finals. It came from Big Shaq as he destroyed the Sixers to level the series and would help them win the Finals in 5. He almost produced a quadruple-double and missed out because of 1 assist and a failure to swat away 2 shots. That wouldn't keep it from being one of the best performances in history because Shaq ended up with 28 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists, and 8 blocks. Truly magnificent. Up next, Bill Russell versus the Lakers, 1962. This easily could have been the video of Bill Russell's top performances, and the title would still be accurate. But out of all of his special performances, this one against the Lakers in Game 7 of the NBA Finals remains the most talked about, and the one that people always rank in their favorite performances. Individually, he did come up with 30 points and a mind-boggling NBA Finals record of 40 rebounds, but he was playable in every quarter as the Celtics defeated the Lakers again. And now we have Kobe Bryant versus the Raptors, 2006. Kobe Bryant, what a player, what a man. The Lakers on that night won 122-104 against the Raptors, but this game is only remembered due to Kobe's insane numbers and crazy dominance. He'd already gotten 26 points in the first half, but he more than doubled that in the second half to hit the Raptors for 55, and his total of 81 remains the second highest in the history of the NBA. He also had 6 rebounds, a couple of assists, and steals, but that's really insignificant. But because he had the three-pointer, this one will have to settle at number 2 for us. And last but not least, Wilt Chamberlain versus the Knicks, 1962. You've all heard about this, haven't you? The Philadelphia Warriors were hosting the New York Knicks, and the game was a very high-scoring affair as the Warriors won 169-147. But it was Wilt Chamberlain who completely stole the show. Wilt, on the night, scored 100 points, and in a professional game, no one has ever managed to come close. Kobe did, but he was behind by 19, and had he played the fourth in 2003, who knows? Maybe he could have gotten 90 or 95, but no one has done it since, and probably no one ever will. The fact that the three-point line wasn't added for another 17 years shows just how big an achievement it was for Chamberlain. This is, simply put, the greatest performance and the match in which Wilt was just too good. That's a wrap for this video. Did we miss any of the other performances or occasions when a player was just too good? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.